Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise on topics that matter. Today, it's something affecting millions. Hair loss. We're going deep on the science behind so-called natural DHT blockers versus, well, the established medical treatments for androgenetic alopecia, AGA. Our goal, real clarity for you, maybe even some aha moments. Let's dive in.
Okay, so AGA, androgenetic alopecia, it's actually pretty complex, genetically driven mostly. The key thing to grasp is it's fueled by androgens, specifically DHT, dihydrotestosterone.
DHT, right?
Yeah, and this DHT comes from testosterone converted by an enzyme, 5-alpha reductase or 5-AR, and that's what makes hair follicles shrink over time, miniaturize.
Okay, so DHT is a target. If we want solutions that actually work based on solid science, what are the go-to treatments, the real gold standards?
Well, for AGA, the gold standard really means two FDA-approved options: Finasteride and Minoxidil. Finasteride is a powerful 5-AR inhibitor. It basically stops that enzyme 5-AR from making DHT from testosterone.
It blocks the conversion.
Exactly. And its effect cuts scalp DHT by something like 64%. The clinical trial results are pretty impressive. We're talking halting hair loss in almost 90% of men.
90%.
Mm-hmm. And promoting actual regrowth in about 2/3 of them after 2 years. It's a strong intervention.
But there are side effects to consider.
Yes, there are. The most discussed are sexual side effects, though they only affect a small percentage, maybe 1.3 to 1.9% of users. It's well documented.
Okay, so finasteride heats the hormone pathway directly. But minoxidil, that's different, isn't it? How does that one help?
Totally different mechanism, yeah. Minoxidil isn't hormonal at all. It seems to work in a few ways, improves blood flow to the follicles, acts as a potassium channel opener, and it helps keep hairs in their growth phase, the anagen phase, for longer.
Interesting. So less about DHT, more about the growth environment.
Pretty much. And it works. The 5% topical is common, but now low-dose oral minoxidil is gaining ground. It can be really effective and maybe easier for people to stick with long-term.
And side effects for minoxidil?
Usually local for the topical stuff like scalp irritation, maybe some initial shedding, which is temporary. The oral form, though, can have systemic effects. Things like unwanted hair growth elsewhere, some fluid retention, maybe palpitations for some people, needs monitoring.
So you've got these two, finasteride and minoxidil, tackling the problem from completely different angles, like a pincer movement on hair loss.
That's a good way to put it.
Which explains why using them together, combination therapy, often gives the best results, right? They're synergistic.
Exactly. The synergy is key for many patients.
Okay, so we have these, let's call them the heavy hitters, medically proven, but then there's this whole world of natural remedies. They sound appealing, maybe fewer side effects, but do they actually stand up to scientific scrutiny?
Ah, yes. This is where it gets really interesting and, frankly, where you need to be critical. Let's take Saw Palmetto. It's probably the most studied natural option, also proposed as a 5-AR inhibitor.
Okay, so similar proposed mechanism to finasteride.
Similar idea, yes. But there was a key head-to-head trial back in 2012, Rossi and colleagues. It directly compared finasteride to Saw Palmetto. The results were clear. Finasteride was significantly more effective.
How much more effective?
We're talking 68% regrowth with finasteride versus only 38% with Saw Palmetto. So Saw Palmetto might offer a modest benefit for some, but it's just not in the same league as finasteride, demonstrably inferior.
Right. What about others? I hear a lot about pumpkin seed oil. Any decent science there?
What's fascinating there is, yes, there was one study, a small randomized controlled trial, Show et al., 2014. It showed a 40% average increase in hair count with pumpkin seed oil, which sounds promising, right?
3% sounds pretty good.
It does, but here's the crucial caveat. It's one small study. That's preliminary evidence, very preliminary. It absolutely needs to be replicated in larger, longer trials before we can say anything definitive. It's just a starting point.
That makes sense. Preliminary isn't proven. So where do things like stinging nettle or green tea extract, EGCG, right, or reishi mushroom fit in?
They fit even further back on the evidence spectrum. They have what we call strong preclinical rationale, meaning in lab tests on cells or in animal studies, they show some promise, maybe inhibiting 5-AR or having other benefits.
So good in the lab.
Good in the lab, yes. But then this is a huge trillid, but there are basically no robust human clinical trials demonstrating they actually work for hair loss, for AGA in real people. There's often a massive gap, a chasm, between what happens in a petri dish and what helps a person. Lab findings don't automatically translate.
Okay, so if we connect this to the bigger picture, it sounds like a stark contrast. On one side, you have medical treatments backed by decades of large, rigorous human trials. On the other, for most natural options, the human evidence is sparse, very preliminary, or just missing.
That's the core takeaway. It highlights a fundamental trade-off. With medical options like Finasteride and Minoxidil, you generally get high, predictable effectiveness, but with known, defined potential side effects. With most natural options, you might get a more favorable safety profile, though often less studied. But the effectiveness is low, unproven, or completely unknown for AGA.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? What's the bottom line?
Well, the clear recommendation based on evidence is this. Prioritize the FDA-approved medical options. That means oral finasteride, topical, or maybe oral minoxidil. We're using them together. That gives you the highest probability of seeing a real, clinically meaningful result. And always, always do this under the guidance of a physician.
And the natural remedies?
They are not primary treatments. They're not equivalent alternatives. If you're thinking about them, view them realistically as potential add-ons at best, or maybe very mild interventions, but with a low or frankly unproven chance of making a significant difference for AGA.
It really underscores the importance of that scientific journey, doesn't it? From just an idea or a lab finding to something actually proven to work in people. What stands out to you most about how that rigorous process shapes our real understanding of what treatments are truly effective?